Welcome to the DC Sports Buzz. I'm Maiko. I'm joined by KC here. Joining me from, is it West Hollywood? Are you big time now?
I'm actually in Toluca Lake. I live here and I haven't yet found the lake. I did buy a jet ski. So when I find the lake, I'm going to get on it. I probably should have reversed those. I probably should have found the lake before I bought the jet ski. But what are you to do? I'm enjoying the Cool Frogs. I don't think anybody else knows who they are but us, but I like it to start the show.
Or the
out
Cool
here.
Frogs, as some people like to call them.
The Cool Frogs. Very inside here, very inside. But I hear you actually, Mr. Orsini, for all my Hollywood talk, you're the real VIP here on the DC Sports Buzz.
Yeah, I had a great experience yesterday. I got to go down to Nationals Park to the VIP clubhouse reception. And one of the people there, actually, that they had along with the manager was Jason Worth, the hero of NLDS Game 4, hit the walk-off home run. And I got to speak with him, do a little Sports Buzz exclusive, and ask him actually about some of his at-bat songs that he has when he goes up to the plate there. And he talked about his at-bat songs and how they get to choose them. And, if he's hitting really well, he'll keep the same song over and over. But if he starts to struggle, then he'll move on to a different song. And he likes to listen to a lot of rock and actually electronica now. And he said a lot of the guys there get to pick their own songs, but it really depends on how long you've been with the club and sort of what kind of say you have with the club. But, he's a big wig, just like you are out there in L.A., and so he gets to pick his own songs. So I guess if you're making $100 million, Kevin, you get to pick, do whatever you want.
If this show goes well, we should keep playing Cool for August. If it's terrible, we've got to switch it up immediately. I would say two things to you. I would say, first of all, you should have brought him a friggin' razor or clippers to get rid of that beard. And I would say the second thing, I would say maybe if we send him that Casey and Maiko sing your favorite romantic holiday classics, the album we recorded in front of the fire.
Yep.
If we sing one of those, I wonder if he would play it as an at-bat song. I don't know. Maybe you can follow up next year and see if he does. But we should get into some Redskins talk here, Maiko. Huge win last week.
Huge.
A must-win every single week. Redskins-Ravens. I mean, there were more storylines than an old 90210 episode when it comes to the comeback. Can the defense stop him? We got RG3's injury, and he comes back in, and then Cousins comes in and throws the touchdown and the two-point conversion. And Crawford, who I still can't pick this guy off the street. He might have been pumping gas last week. Just has an incredible return, takes it back. Kai Forbath, who has not missed all season, hits winning. Incredible win, and now set up an incredible stretch run of the playoffs here for the Redskins.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big story coming out of the game is the injury to RG3. Getting hurt there on that last drive, coming back in the game actually for a couple plays, and then couldn't finish the game. And like you said, Cousins came in and helped deliver the victory for the team. But here we are entering into week, I believe it's 15 now, right? The NFL season, and the Redskins are playing the Browns up in Cleveland. And Kevin, this was a team that you looked at the schedule before the season when we did our show back in April when the schedule came out and went through the whole schedule. I think we both circled this game as a win for the Skins. And
you and I could put a team together and beat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
But that was one of the games on the schedule. It was a cupcake. That's a winnable game. I'm a little nervous. This is a little bit of a trap game for the Redskins. You got Whedon, who's not bad. Richardson, who's a great running back. Josh Gordon, a solid offense, a good defense, with the Redskins looking on to some NFC East opponents. So feeling a little bit of a trap game with RG3, his status uncertain. I really feel like RG3 has to play for the Redskins to win this game. Can you play in a wheelchair, Maiko? I don't know what the rules are. Can we get our producer to look that up? I mean, could we have big Trent Williams be pushing him around in a wheelchair? I mean, he was throwing on one foot anyway last week. Maybe he can still compete like that.
I think, him in a wheelchair would be a lot better than a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league right now, including that quarterback in Arizona, Ryan
Can you
Lindley,
imagine
I
how
believe.
many roughing the passer? Just how many roughing the passer calls he would get when these big defensive linemen go colliding with his wheelchair, his little motorized scooter, when he's trying to break it through the hole. I mean, how can you not throw a roughing the passer call when a guy collides with a wheelchair?
I mean, that's a low hit on the quarterback. That's a 15-yard penalty. But, here we are going into the Browns game. And, Kevin, you said last week if the Skins beat the Ravens, which they did, then you would come here on the show this week and break down. You'd say, that's over. The Skins are going to make the playoffs. And you were going to break down the playoff run for the Skins. And by playoff run, I don't mean, folks, breaking down the last two games of the season. I mean he's going to break down the wild card round, the divisional round, the NFC Championship, and, of course, the Super Bowl, and how the Skins are going to get there and who they're going to beat.
You know what these are right here? These are keys to the bandwagon, Maiko. Come aboard.
I'm on.
This is a Homer segment of the show here. I'm going to kind of try to break down a plausible scenario where the Redskins do make it in the playoffs. Now, I think based on the way that this week is going, the Redskins have probably the most winnable game this week out of the Giants and out of the Bears.
Yep.
If the Redskins win, the Bears lose, the Redskins control their own destiny.
Yep.
So, with that being said, the Redskins will then enter the playoffs. Let's call them the 4th seed, maybe the 5 seed if they slip. I think you might see Chicago falling out of the playoffs. So then you got the Redskins of the 4 seed or the 5 seed, probably playing New York, who will get in as the other wild card.
Yep.
Seattle will be there as the 6th seed, or you could flip-flop Seattle and New York. But the Redskins, at least what I'm trying to say is they avoid the Packers in the first round because the top 2 teams get a bye. So the Redskins avoid the Packers. They play either Seattle or the Giants. 2 winnable games. I don't want to go on the road to play Seattle.
Right.
But if I can play the Giants, a team I think the Redskins have their number, Redskins win that game, then suddenly we've got a date with the first place Atlanta Falcons, who did not play very well last year in the playoffs. The past couple years, they've not played very well in the playoffs. All the pressure's on them. Redskins are playing with house money. Going into Atlanta, it's a winnable game for the Redskins. Atlanta has not been dominant, has not been blowing teams out. The Redskins can beat the Falcons, and then before you know it, NFC Championship game, playing either the San Francisco 49ers or the Green Bay Packers. Anything can happen in one game. And boom, the homer pick for this year, the plausible road to the Super Bowl. You can't tell me that's impossible to say that could happen, Michael.
Here's the scenario I see. The Giants lose to Atlanta this week, which we all know is very possible. They got to go down to Atlanta to the Georgia Dome. The Skins win out. The Skins win the NFC East and are the 4th seed, and they host a first-round playoff game at home at FedEx Field against the Seattle Seahawks. And we know how Seattle plays on the road. They're not great on the road. They win that game. And then they're going to go on and play, obviously, one of the top 2 seeds. Probably Atlanta, could be Green Bay or San Francisco. And we can go down to Atlanta and beat them if they're the 1 or the 2 seed. So then we're in an NFC Championship game. And, okay, yeah, so maybe we got to go to San Francisco. But, hey, we got RG3, right? He's going to be healthy by then, obviously. So, and then they're on the Super Bowl. What, they're going to play New England? I mean, we can score against that defense.
I think we're probably going to be spiking Vegas. The sports buzz is spiking Vegas. People are now knocking over their computers, running out, pushing their chips in, betting on the Redskins to be in the Super Bowl. I mean, we are wearing Redskins shirts. It says the DC Sports Buzz. It's going to be a little bit of a homer show. But here's the thing, Michael. We're 3 games left in the regular season. That is a plausible scenario for the Redskins, not only to make the playoffs, but it seems like things are breaking right for them down the stretch. They're getting a lot of breaks. And going into the playoffs, there aren't a lot of teams there that really scare you. I think the NFC East is wide open, and the NFC is wide open. And it's really, and we saw that last year with the Giants, that they were 7-7 or so in November or December. They got hot at the right time. Things broke their way. They're winning a Super Bowl. Now, I'm not realistically saying the Redskins are going to win the Super Bowl, but
because I am.
That's good. There's some plausible scenarios for the Redskins to do very well as long as they keep winning.
Yep. And when you have a quarterback like Robert Griffin, I mean, obviously, how well the offense has been playing with him. We've got a great rushing attack, number 1 rushing attack, with Alfred Morris and RG3. And, I mean, Garcon healthy. What are they, 6-1 now? And Garcon is in the lineup. I mean, and he's been an amazing, help stretch that defense. So, you may not be picking Super Bowl, Kevin, but I am.
Yeah, but here's my question for you. We've got Kyle Shanahan, the boy wonder, on the field calling the plays. He's doing well in that department. He's doing well dialing up. My question is more important than that, Michael. My question is, how well did this guy dial it up? How well did he call the plays back in high school and college with the ladies? How well do you think Kyle Shanahan did? He's kind of a dork, kind of a geek. He does have Shanahan on the back of his jersey, and that is his last name. Carries a lot of weight. How did he do with the ladies, do you think?
Well, I mean, I know one person that he did do really well with, and that's Chris Sims, because he has Chris Sims' initials tattooed on his ankle, and Chris Sims has Kyle Shanahan's initials tattooed on his ankle. So let's think about that for a second. I mean, how many guys go out there and get other guys' initials tattooed on their body? I mean, usually it's like a boyfriend, girlfriend thing, husband, wife, that sort of thing, or you get like a heart or some Chinese symbol. But, I mean, who goes out and gets another guy's initials tattooed on their body?
I'm very dedicated to the Sports Buzz and to my co-host. I had a Christmas present for you, but now I'm embarrassed. I'm not going to show it.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get it laser removed. Now, here's the thing. I know the whole Chris Sims thing. Who knows? I don't want the Sports Buzz to get slandered. It's all alleged. With the ladies, I'm going to say this. I think Kyle Shanahan probably peaked back in high school. Can you imagine being a high school girl going over to the Shanahan's compound? I'm sure he had a button that he would press that exotic birds would fly into the living room. The lights would lower. We've got the screen dropping. There's the movies playing there. You see Mike Shanahan there in front of you. You know you're with Kyle Shanahan. I bet he slayed in high school. College, he is a little bit of a geeky guy. He might have struggled a little bit. Maybe he went back to some proms to see how he could do. I still think he did pretty well, though, Michael.
Well, it's hard, when you go to a school like Texas, Kevin, with the number of people that are down there. I think it's one of the largest universities in the country, if not the largest as far as enrollment. I mean, when you have that big of a pool, I mean, you basically could turn around and bump into somebody. You can go down on, 5th Street or 6th Street there in Austin and bump into a girl, and, you take her home, and next thing you know, boom, there you go. I mean, really, how hard can it be?
You done some field research. You seem to know a lot about this.
Well, I've been to Austin once or twice, and you bump into some people there, and next thing you know, you're waking up the next morning, and you don't know what's going on, where you're at, and there's some random person next to you.
No restraining orders. I do know that in Texas, you have the random hookups. There's probably no better place than New Orleans to have random hookups. New Orleans recently announced they were changing their name to the New Orleans Pelicans. Terrible name.
Which I can't believe. Are they really doing that, or is that just alleged?
You know what? I don't think it's alleged at this point. I think that the Kyle Shanahan can sue us for slander, possibly, but New Orleans team can't because they've announced they are going to be the Pelican. We here in D.C., our teams have gone through some name changes. In total, we've got the Mystics, D.C. United, the Redskins, the Wizards, the Capitals. I'm curious what you think our worst team name is out of all our major sports.
Well, there's actually two. Of the major sports, of the major sports, I gotta say it's pretty obvious. The Wizards. I mean, come on. Usually you have a name that's sort of related to the city you live in. I mean, is DC a big wizard thing? Is that is that a KKK thing? Wasn't that a guy called the Grand Wizard or something? I don't understand that. But I mean, if you're gonna expand it out a little bit more, like the soccer and things like that. I mean, how about the Washington Freedom when they were around? I mean, Freedom, really? That's their name? I could see United. That makes sense. We're United. We're a team. But the Freedom?
Listen, we don't have to pile on to the now defunct Women's Soccer League. I think they're struggling already enough without us insulting their name. I would agree with you. It's definitely the Washington Wizards is the worst team name. Now, back in the day, they announced that they switched the name from the Washington Bullets to the Wizards because Bullets were deadly. They were killing people. I would argue that it's more dangerous now to sit in front of your TV and watch a Wizards game than it was to be on the streets of D.C. at any point when the Wizards or when the Bullets had their name back in the day. Because if you're not killing yourself, going out and being so angry, you're killing other people if you're watching the Wizards. It's such a terrible product. It's the worst name in D.C. I hope this team definitely improves. They had a chance to improve here, Michael. It was announced in the Washington Post that they had a chance to acquire James Harden for Bradley Beal and Chris Singleton. It seems like when things kind of came out that they would have had to max contract James Harden, which seems like the reason they didn't do it. Good move, bad move. What do you think?
I mean, I think it was a bad move. I mean, here's a guy that's a proven guy that can score. He can play defense. He's an excellent defender. He can rebound the basketball. And he's young. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, he's got everything. He's young. Yeah, granted, okay, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money, right? Which the Wizards have done before and had bad luck with. But, I mean, what else do they have right now? I mean, they've got an injured John Wall that's sitting on the bench. They have no timetable for his return. He's useless right now. They've got Bradley Beal. Okay, he's had a few nice games the past few weeks. But, I mean, they don't have anybody else.
And Michael, this is the danger of doing max contracts. This is why he didn't want to do a max contract with James Harden. One max contract leads to more bad things for your team. Not only are you trying to crawl out from under whatever max contract you gave, like the one they gave to Gilbert Arenas, on a bad knee, it should have never happened. But now when a player comes along that seemingly is deserving of a max contract, you're going to be less likely to give him that max contract because you were burned so bad from before. So,
but then you got to look at the GM, right? I mean, the GM's making the decisions. He brings in, Nene and Okafor and Trevor Ariza, and they're paying them $33 million. And Nene's played 8 out of 18 games this year. I mean, he hasn't given you anything. You're not getting much out of the other two. So, I mean, why are you spending all this money on, these three players and $33 million when you can get one player for less that's going to contribute just as much as all three?
No, it's just the players just hit the lottery with the Wizards. I mean, Rashad Lewis, Gilbert Arenas, Trevor Ariza, Nene, Okafor. I mean, all these guys are just getting money thrown at them and they're not performing. I mean, the Wizards had the Rashard Lewis contract. They got out from under that and they took the Ariza contract and the Okafor contract on. The problem is when the Wizards spend money, they spend it in poor ways. And I'm not saying it was a bad move to not get Harden. I don't know. It's a tough call, but I think that Grunfeld does not have a proven track record here in Washington that he knows what he's doing and he makes the right call. So his bad moves led to him not taking a chance on James Harden. That may have been a mistake, but he's not going to play for Randy Whitman anytime soon. But my question for you, Maiko, is with all the sports coaches we have in town, which sports coach, that's a tough one to say, do you want to play for here in town?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I think I'd have to go with Randy Whitman because it'd be so easy to make the starting lineup and crack the starting lineup. I mean, let's be honest, the Wizards are terrible. You and I could go out there. We could crack that starting lineup. I would just shoot threes all game, of course. Like, I wouldn't go in the paint with the big boys. I would just sit up there and jack threes. But, I mean, I'd have to say Randy Whitman, if I wanted to crack the starting lineup. Now, you're talking about coach that you want to play for as far as somebody that, you'd really, I think, be like a good guy in the locker room and, really support the players. I got to say Davey Johnson. I got to meet him last night. Seems like a very cool guy, down to earth, supports his players and backs his players up. And he's all about what you produce on the field. And just like, you and I produce here on the show every week, Kevin, I mean, we'd be gold in Davey Johnson's clubhouse.
Would be. Here's what I'm going to say. I would want to play for old Coach Oatsy.
Oatsy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, such great tradition with Coach Oates. Coach Oates, I mean, I'd have to work on it, actually saying his name, but such great tradition here in Washington. He was a great player for the team. This is an exciting young Washington Capitals team. Now, the problem is I'd be unemployed right now because the NHL can't seem to reach an agreement on the new CBA. But I go into Coach Oates. I have my fighting strap on the first day of practice. I maybe square off with Ovechkin or or somebody like that. I'd either get my face clobbered in, or maybe I'd have a decent fight and I'd just stare over at Coach Oates and he'd give me his assuming nod of approval.
Now, would you wear the Oates jersey that you have in your closet somewhere, like to the very first practice and say, hey, Coach, good to finally meet you. I'm glad I'm on the team and you got me on the team. And would you wear his jersey, or would that be a little bit awkward that you're wearing the jersey of your coach?
I would wear his jersey. I would give him my jersey to wear the first day of practice as well. I think that's only fair. I'd bring my little Oates figurines into practice. It'd probably get creepy quick, and I might get a restraining order and have to practice in my own practice facility. But I think I'd love to play hockey for Coach Oates. I love to play for the Capitals. It's such an electric environment in Verizon Center. And, the way this lockout is going, maybe we get a shortened regular season and the Caps are back in the playoffs. And I'm putting the biscuit in the basket for the Capitals on the march to the Stanley Cup here this year. So Coach Oates is my pick, my go.
Well, before we wrap up the show here, Kevin, we got to do a couple quick predictions here on the show. I mean, I know you've already got the Skins in the playoffs. Let's talk about what's your prediction, Redskins Browns this week, and also I want to hear about the NHL lockout. Do you think it's going to end anytime soon? Is it going to go through Christmas? What's the latest on that?
Well, I'd have to say for the lockout first. I mean, everything that it looks like right now, and we touched on this last week, but it looks like the lockout is going to stay and that there's going to be no NHL season this year. If I pick with my heart, I'd have to say they get something done because it's in no side's best interest, the owners or the players, to get something done. So I hope they get something done, but it looks like they won't. As far as my prediction, I really think that the Redskins-Browns game is going to hinge on RG3 and his health. I think if RG3 does not play, I think the Redskins lose 24-17, 24-14. I think the offense stalls. I think Cousins puts the Browns in some great field positions. I think, Richardson running the ball on the ground and Whedon in the air. I think Whedon has a pretty good day. I think Whedon throws for 250, 275, 2 touchdowns. If RG3 plays, I think the Redskins win a closer game than you think, but I think the Redskins win a 24-17 type game against the Browns. So it's all going to hinge on RG3 and his health. RG3 plays, Redskins win. RG3 doesn't play, Redskins lose.
Here's my prediction. 2 predictions. They're both going to be true next week. You can thank me later. I'm going to be the amazing Kreskin predictor. The Redskins will lose the game 23-20. Kai Forbath will miss a game-tying field goal at the end. It will be his first miss of the year, and it will be a heartbreaking miss because it will potentially force overtime. RG3 will play, but he will not be as effective as he normally is. He will be limited with his mobility-wise, and Cleveland will be able to defend him a lot easier than other teams have. and Kevin, by this time next week, the NHL will be back. The lockout
Yes.
will be over, and we'll
And
be
you just
talking
predict-
about the NHL season and breaking down the cap season by
And
next
you just
week.
predict playoffs for the Redskins, and now you're predicting a loss. I don't think
You
both
predict the
things-
playoffs. I think you just gave the ultimate jinx to the team by predicting the Super Bowl run. Actually, I'm sorry. I think I predicted the Super Bowl run, but I think you predicted the playoff run. And, I think all the Sports Buzz listeners, you can email us, sportsbuzzdc@gmail.com. Direct all your anger to Kevin, because he's the one that jinxed the Redskins by saying that they're going to make the playoffs. They're a lock now to make the playoffs. So I'm saying the Redskins lose because Kevin jinxed it.
Let me know if you want the Casey and Myco holiday album. But I think we got to get out of here, unfortunately, Myco. But it's been another good show. We should at some point give some of our incredible holiday albums out to the people, but maybe that's for another show.
Good stuff. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.